Hi YouTube. Well, for the last year now, I have been scratching my head and wondering about what this oil spill was really about. Is it about oil, or is it something entirely different? And I might just have a clue today, and actually a few days ago when I saw a movie called Japan Sinking, which actually relates to something which is in the Gulf as we speak. But I'll come back to that. Well, it is now a year since I would say 11 people got murdered on Deepwater Horizon, and I finally found in my archives the video sequence of a SWAT team which were on the Deepwater Horizon just prior to the explosion, and I have also provided evidence to you on the former channel that actually 2 hours before the incident the Deepwater Horizon had an unexpected inspection of the platform rig, and that inspection actually unfolded like that. If you follow that screen there, let's see if we can zoom in on it. You see right there, see there's shooting, and it was actually also official that there was a SWAT team sent out there. So that's the video sequence from actually CNN Live from the vicinity of Deepwater Horizon. So an attack took place at the Deepwater Horizon. We can run it again in case you missed it. You can see down there, and you can see this is the BP live feed. All cameras are related, and this is down on the seafloor. There's pictures. These are not running, of course, but this is here where the action takes place, and you can clearly see there's shooting. So what did really go on in the Gulf of Mexico? Well, this is just my take on it, but the first pictures we saw coming out, and that's where I saw this is fake, because if you look closely on that, does that look like crude oil to you? Look at the color, it's all wrong. That's why I said from the beginning that this looks more like a volcano than it looks like an oil spill. You see this ever transforming color. But this is what worries me a lot, and that is that people are being sent out to kill innocent. And this is BP live feed from CNN. This is tragic, but more tragedy is to come because of this. And this is the one I was talking about, the Scandi Neptune on Dispersant operation. Does that look like an oil spill to you? This is a rover up close to this gusher, but in reality it looks like it is a volcano, Biloxi Dome, which they are filming. There would be so much turbulence in the water if the oil was coming out with 100,000 psi that the rovers would not be able to keep in position because of the turbulence. But this is a slow gusher, possibly from Biloxi Dome. Whatever they're doing there, maybe just to make it seem plausible that there is an oil spill. But if you look at the size, you can see this is not coming from a 24 inches pipe. We are talking 3 to 4 feet wide opening. And that's not a hole in the seafloor. So I don't know what they exactly did out there. But this don't look like oil to me. Not at all. And this one either looks like oil. Look how it suddenly changed. Where's the pressure here? It's coming up with a lower pressure. Way lower. You can see that. It's actually kind of flowing out. And we got this one, which also illustrates. That's the Scandi Neptune. And look at that. Now we have a new color. And we actually get one more color, which actually looks like oil. And I will come to that in a moment. I actually think it's over here. Right there. You see that? That looks like real oil. Pitch black. And yet, who says it's oil? It could still be from the volcano, Biloxi Dome. So what was the purpose? You see the color difference? And that's what it makes me say positively. This oil spill had nothing to do with oil. It's something else. It's something much, much bigger than that. And that was what my wife and I were stumbling over the other day when we watched the movie. And here we have another example from an oil spill. What is this? Is this Kool-Aid they're pouring out somewhere in a fish tank? Because I got a fish tank for you. Right there. Actually here in this video sequence, it's 1 minute and 21 seconds. And you can see in the background here in a moment that a curtain goes by and a person walks into the TV set. And we are led to believe that this is a broken pipe, right? It is not. Did you see the curtain go there? Oh yeah. Hold on. Keep attention. Just to the right of the column. Just to the right. There it was. Did you see that? There was one live person coming in. And here we got the famous fish tank. This you gotta see. You can even spool back and see it again. But look at this. This is incredible. No one noticed that one. You see that? With gaffer tape and everything? And a sponge on a stick? And notice the current too. It's changing. It's ever changing. And what is that pouring out there? Kool-Aid? I don't know. But this is not oil. It is not oil. It is sad that we were being conned so greatly. And even the personnel in the wake of the explosion on the Gulf oil rig is coming here.
Tonight we have one of the first survivor stories from that massive oil well blowout in the Gulf of Mexico. One man's compelling story of how he made it off an oil rig that had become a raging inferno. As BP scrambles to stop oil spewing into Gulf waters, we have been tracking some disturbing questions being raised about the frantic hours right after the explosion. 115 people survived the blast, but 11 others were not so lucky. Just hours after being rescued, some of the survivors say they were coerced by the rig's operator, Transocean, into signing legal waivers, including crew member Chris Choi, who today suffers from flashbacks and nightmares over the ordeal. He joins us tonight along with his attorney, Stephen Gordon. I want to talk about this waiver, Chris, and the lawsuit that you filed against Transocean, BP, and Halliburton in just a moment. But first of all, take us back, if you would, to that night, April 20th. You worked a night shift, had trouble getting to sleep. You finally had. It was about 10 o'clock at night. What happened?
When I first woke up, I woke up to an explosion. I didn't know that's what it was. I kind of turned and sat on the edge of my bed, and I sat there and waited to see if there was another sound or what the deal was. And there was a lot bigger explosion after that.
Right. You're on the firefighting team. Of course, what you did, because it's your duty. You went out and you grabbed your gear, you went to your firefighting station, and you saw the derrick on fire. How were you struck by that scene?
When I saw the derrick on fire, I knew that there was no way we were putting that fire out. I knew we were more than likely going to abandon the rig. I was still kind of in shock. I just didn't expect to see that.
Did you fear for your life at that point?
Absolutely. That was the main thing going through my head. It just hit me in my stomach. That's all I kept thinking was, there's no way we're getting off here. You know, we're all dead.
And one of the first things that you saw was the crane operator who had been knocked off of his staircase and fallen probably 40, 50 feet to the deck. You and a partner who was on the firefighting team thought about trying to get to him. Why were you unable to get to him?
Well, we dressed out in our fire gear and started over there. He had already tried to drag him by himself, and he couldn't move him on his own, so he came looking for help. We started trying to make our way over there, and there was some more explosions, and that just put flames in between us and him. There was just no way we could get over there to him.
So you had to leave him?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What's that like for a person who is trained in rescue operations to have to leave somebody?
Definitely one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. That it haunts me today, just to thinking about, is there any other way I could have got over there?
And of course, then it was a mad dash to get off the rig. There was the call to the lifeboats. Was there panic in terms of getting on board those lifeboats?
There was, to an extent. Everybody was trying to get on. Some people were staying calm, trying to, keep everything.
Well, these survivors, like the fishermen, was intimidated or forced to sign a waiver. So they couldn't file any claims, or they couldn't disclose any information about what was going on the rig itself and what the fishermen experienced and witnesses out there in the Gulf. But I still believe that this Gulf oil spill is somewhat staged. It is not what we are led to believe it is, the largest oil spill in human history. Because where's all the oil? If there was so much oil as we were being led to believe, that we could approximately calculate 120,000 barrels of crude oil every day pouring into the Gulf of Mexico, there would be no way, with all the corrections in the world, they could suppress that immense oil plume. And I also calculated the total size of that oil plume, which were in depths of 1,200 meters. That's approximately in yards too. That there was a 450 feet thick lake, 20 miles long, plume of oil floating southwest. There will be no way they will be able to contain a combined area of 5 times the size of India if we were spread out on the ocean in 1-inch thick layer. They wouldn't be able to contain it with all the corrections in the world. But there was an oil spill, but a staged one, and that is what I believe we are watching here. Oh, 2 seconds. There. Look at this nice cut pipe and what's coming out of it. I believe this is the Shell pipeline, which is actually going through Macondo 296 and 252. This is Shell's pipeline. And BP and Shell, well, they are not so competitive. They actually work hand in hand. And BP has gone beyond petroleum, and I would like to show you that now. We have it here, and this is from this guy called Dr. Venter. who is being accused of playing God after creating artificial light by making designer micro from scratch. But could it wipe out humanity? Yeah, that's the question. I don't know. But if we look at this one, this is NASA's plans for humanity. And here we are seeing that they are actually contemplating making genomic design and repair on human species. And for life forms in general, they want to cross species molecular breeding. And that is genetics, and that is here where we're going in and defiling the flesh. And we are not supposed to do so. But anyway, a madman called Dr. Venter, there he is. He has from scratch made an artificial organism, microscopical, and this bacteria he has created allegedly now resides in the Gulf of Mexico. But where in the Gulf of Mexico? In the waters? Yeah. But that brings me to think about the movie I was watching the other day with my wife, and we were looking at each other. Oh, that was strange. This movie is from 2006, and here's a little excerpt from it to begin with. And where do we save it? We have it here somewhere. Right here. Okay. We are talking about a bacteria, right? Now, listen to what he says. Read the subtitles, because this is on Japanese. So, you just saw that, and that raises a very interesting question. Is that really what they're doing? Because there could be something to it, and I can provide you some kind of clue to that. And let me go and find those files. And that is in the Gulf evidence I showed you. What they actually did. And I believe it's this one. Yeah. If you look at this one and go up, this is from well A, as you see here, and this is Deepwater Horizon, as you see here. But if you look at the drill depths, we're talking 35,000 feet. That's for well A. And I have shown you that the crust between the mantle and the seafloor is between 4 and 7 miles thick in the Gulf of Mexico. So that means they drill through and into the mantle. But That was on well A. Well, we got well B too. As you see, B. And this is Deepwater Horizon. Well B was after well A. Didn't work out too good, but it seems like it did. But look at the depth here. Again, 35,000 feet. Another drill into the crust and all the way into the mantle. And then they send out an oil rig to make relief wells. And this one, as you see, this is well C, went 37,500 feet in, even deeper. And then we get to well D. As you see, it's well D. And what do we have here? 35,000 feet for well D. So all 4 holes has been drilled into the mantle. So is it plausible that they drilled these holes and then they administered this artificial bacteria, which might not be so artificial after all? Maybe this one is a turbocharged bacteria, as we saw in the Japan movie. And there's no question about this Japan movie is a Illuminati movie. I'm going to show you something here. This is here where the professor is getting his predictions of the future of Japan. But pay attention to the date. How many days? Let me turn down the volume. We don't need it so loud. But watch carefully. And this is because of this bacteria. And the megalith. Look at the day down there. Look closely. We got 33, but we also got 3 plus 8 is 11. 3 times 11 is 33. We got 5, we got 4, which gives 9. But we also have 11. 9, 11. It's all about numbers. So, there's no question about that something is taking place in the Gulf of Mexico, which they're ready to kill for, to keep silent. This is a very hush-hush operation which is going on down there. And you are casualties in it. You caught up in it, and there's nothing you can do about it. It is released into the nature now, and now it's taking its course. I just don't know if this delamination of this bacteria eating up the crust and producing methane, which make me think about early to it, which is talking about mesospheric atmosphere by methane gas releases. And with this bacteria and with a fracture of the fault lines, now I'm thinking New Madrid, there will be a huge quantity of methane released into the atmosphere, not only from the newly produced methane by this bacteria, but also ancient frozen methane, which is lying in vast quantities in the Gulf of Mexico. And if this stuff is released into the atmosphere, we will have a very, very different way of life. It will be extremely exhausting to be alive. It will require certain measures to stay alive. And that's what makes me think about this one. Of the human species, genomic design and repair. Could that mean that they are adjusting the future generations to be able to survive in this terraforming they just created? or want to create? And are they helping themselves with the use of this incoming object? That's hard to say, but there could be something to it. And yeah, I was a little harsh on that lady, but she did talk about March 11th, that there will be an alignment between Lenin, the Earth and the Sun on a direct line, and certainly something happened in Japan on that day. So, when is the next day for something major to occur? Well, we have to go down here. Around there, June 14th, at that point, the Earth, actually Lenin and the Sun, have the same distance. No, that's not true. I actually have a picture of it over here. Let me find the right picture. This is important. Which date we have to look out for Lenin. Let me see, I think I got it here. Yeah, we have an equidistant to each other. Do I have it down? No, I do not. This sucks. Well, at some point in June, there will be that Lenin and the Sun has the exact same distance to Earth, and that means there is two objects pulling in us. Could that mean at that date the new Madrid line goes off, or maybe something in California, or one of the big volcanoes, Mount Pelée or Mount Etna, goes erupt? Because that's also going to be a marker for Earth changes tectonically. So at some point in here, there will be another talk of war, and again up in September we will have a third shaking, the last one, which is coming up on September 26th, 27th. Right there in that window, those two dates, Lenin is passing directly in direct line with the Sun and Earth. Another alignment. But that's up to speculation. I don't know. But at this moment, as we see here, this is absolutely insane what's going on over here in Japan. There has now been 1,051 earthquakes taking place. And that is significant. So what is really going on in the Gulf of Mexico, I don't know. But something tells me that they are up to something, and they are actually terraforming. That's what they're doing. And they need the new Madrid line to break. So are they creating delamination in the Gulf of Mexico in order for it to collapse and make New Madrid snap, and actually make the United States look like that? Because if we have delamination here in this area with this bacteria pumped in underneath the crust, this will eat away the material and it will create a deep trench, in some places over 200 miles apart, and just down into, a deep trench. And that's the same thing which is going on over by Japan. Around Japan there are very deep trenches, extremely deep, in the borderline between the Pacific plates and Eurasia plate, Japanese plate and the Australian plate. So this could actually be possible. And the other day, my mother-in-law, she was talking about that she heard a show about prediction about the New Madrid line, that when the New Madrid line goes off, this part of America will sink into the sea, and the flooding will take place over here on the east side, up to 200 miles inland. I'm not sure about that. Well, there's a lot of predictions out there, but one I think is the most startling one. I hope I have it, because that is a real bad one. Let me see. And that's really one I'm thinking about often. This one, from St. Hildegard, from the 12th century. And there's no question about she's speaking about America in this text. The time is coming when princes and people will reject the authority of the Pope. Some countries will prefer their own church rulers to the Pope. The German Empire will be divided before the comet comes. We have a Comet 11 coming in. I don't think it's a UFO. I actually think it is a comet, or it's something. Maybe it is that twin star, brown dwarf. Many nations, the good accepted, will be scourged by want and famine. The great nation in the ocean is inhabited by people of different tribes and descent, will be devastated by earthquakes, storm, and tidal waves. And that's actually what's going on right now. Earthquakes. Lots of them. We got weird storms, and we are soon to see a tidal wave, and we'll be divided in great part, and that's the New Madrid line, and submerged the east side of the United States. That nation will also have many misfortunes at sea and lose its colonies. That means Iraq, Afghanistan, and all the other places they are putting their foot down. And after the great comet, the great nation will be devastated by earthquakes, storms, and great waves of water, causing much want and plagues. The ocean will also flood many other countries, so that all coastal cities will live in fear, and many destroyed. All coast cities will be fearful, and many of them will be destroyed by a tidal wave, and most living creatures will be killed. And even those who escape will die from horrible disease. For none in those cities does a person live according to the laws of God. A powerful wind will rise in the north, carrying heavy fog and the densest dust, and it will fill their throats and eyes, so they will cease their butchery and be stricken with great fear. Well, that sounds like United States. The heavy fog and the densest dust, I presume, is Yellowstone Park. And the powerful wind could be related to a pole shift. It is, as we know, said that the earth will go to and fro like a drunkard, and it will fall over and never rise again. That definitely speaks about a pole shift. And that makes me return to the Lenin, because I can't get away from that thing. There must be something to it. So over here, that was actually too far. But over here, September, we have the alignment. And if we go about the Mayan calendar, the astrological calendar, that one ends on October 28, 2011. I've also heard a date called December 24th, that will be the day of the Great Purification. So in this window, this is where we actually really see the comet. That is when it's in straight line. And that might be where the sun goes black as sackcloth, and the moon will become blood red because of the tail of this comet, or this brown dwarf. And then we continue over here, and this is here where the pole shift will begin, and this is here where we pass through its tail, or we already did that. So we have a cosmic event coming up, but what does that relate to this? Is it because they want to administer and make sure this takes place, so we get that divided America, which they so much want? because they do want that. They've already made the plans. That's how they positioned their military equipment and made Denver into the new capital of United States. And this should be the future of United States. And we have Denver here. And here we have the NAFTA highway for the North American Union going up right there, right along this line. Because this part over here is useless. This is the main part. So are they using this bacteria, as we saw in the Japanese movie, as an aid to make sure that the Gulf seafloor will collapse and trigger the new Madrid line? Because if we look at the fracking in North America, you can see they're fracking all the way up to the Great Lakes, meaning they are destroying the solid rock in the crust, and therefore make it unstable, and therefore also makes it much easier for it to actually break apart. And this delamination in the Japanese movie had that effect, that it served as a friction, a lubrication of the crust, and that will make the shift of the Japanese slope go much faster. It will speed it up. Is this what they're doing? They're speeding up the process. Or is it because of Lenin at all we will have a pole shift? Are man actually capable of destabilizing the Earth's rotation so much that Earth will tilt over? We do not know. But we will have a pole shift. And we do have a chimera of some kind unleashed in nature, which is reproductive. We don't know for sure which properties it has. Is it designed to just eat oil, or is it designed to eat other material too? Because right now bugs are eating the Titanic away. In UK they have huge problems with a microbe which is in the harbors are eating away the steel around in the harbor, attacking it. So this guy has been playing God. And I believe they played God down in the Gulf of Mexico. Not so much to make you sick, but to create destruction. So they can force upon you a North American Union. This is what this is about, this new Madrid drill. It is coming now. And it's probably coming when the sun and Lenin is equidistant to Earth. That will be the second shaking. And the third one will be on September 26th, 27th. Around there, plus minus. Okay, let me think out of the box. We know a pole shift is coming up. And the date I was talking about, I couldn't figure out, is around June 14th. That's a date we need to be aware of, because at that time Lenin and the sun has equal distance to Earth. It doesn't really appear like that on this map, but if you read down there it will say it. Earth distance is 1.824 and sun distance is 1.828. So around there, in that window, we might have our second shaking. But I don't expect that the new Madrid line will go off that late. I actually expect it to go off when they have their drill, because then they're ready. And they have already made their orders of body bags, as we know, and blankets and meals, for some weird reason. Prior knowledge. But this artificial bacteria, what if they know that some 80 to 90% of the world populace will be gone after a pole shift. So that's a minor problem to them. Then they at least got rid of us. That's what they are planning on, by not telling us the truth. But after a pole shift, there will be a lot of oil pollution in our oceans. So it could just be that they want to inherit this earth after us by having this bacteria to clean up in the oceans. And eventually, when this bacteria don't have any more to feed on, it will die. Maybe it's programmed to do so. And that this bacteria is no longer any harm or any threat to any life, organic life, meaning humans, any carbon composites. But in the meantime, it will clean up and eat away the oil. That's a possibility. That's actually what they are contemplating, because we know there's 27,000 oil wells. Some of them are sealed and many of them are operational. And after a pole shift, there will be a lot of disturbance in the Earth's crust. And I suspect that all these oil wells, which is in the Gulf of Mexico and other places on planet Earth, will definitely go bust and leak a lot of oil out into the oceans. So it could be a possibility that's actually what they're doing. But it also comes with a price, and that's the New Madrid line. And I've showed you here on the picture, which really concerns me. And that's why I say that this will happen. And I said it from the beginning. And that was when I was looking at what is the composition of the Gulf of Mexico. And this one shocked me. This huge brine pool of salt. Look how big it is and how far in it stretches into the North American continent. And you see up here in this region, this fits perfectly with the future map of the United States. This wide opening in this deep trench into North America. And right here, where the mouse is now, Deepwater Horizon went down. This is here they made the 4 drill holes into the mantle. And into the salt dome too. And straight into the fault line too. And also into a ley line. And destabilized by that. So this is staged. They had to kill these 11 people. They had to be 11 because it was a sacrifice for a greater cause. And that greater cause will be soon. We will soon experience that. And there's absolutely nothing we can do to stop it. It is already set in motion. And if they did pump this bacteria in underneath the crust of North America, it is surely to happen. The collapse and the breakage of the New Madrid line all the way up to Lake Michigan. So this kind of confirms it. This Illuminati movie, which is even on Japanese, that's amazing. Having that number on day, how long it will take for Japan to sink into the ocean, with the help of this bacteria. And now we have something similar going on in the Gulf of Mexico. So that might just be the case. Well, let's not forget the 11 people who were murdered for their agenda. But we will soon find out what agenda that really was. God bless you.